Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, the podcast that's coming at you from the middle of a lockdown that has taken away something that the three of us all unquestionably love. And that has turned us somewhat philosophical about our relationship with that thing. Yes, that thing that has so quickly been wrenched from our grasp is the cinema. My name is Tosin, I'm based up in Coventry, and I shall be your host for however long it takes us to empty our tears. And joining me, as usual, on the Isle of Wight is Sharon.
Hello.
And joining me, not as usual, in somewhere else, in Bournemouth, is Shaun.
Hiya.
So, cool. And now, the first question I was going to ask is, how have you guys been?
Okay, so...
Surviving lockdown.
So, what was that?
Surviving lockdown.
Surviving...
I think is the best way of describing it, yeah?
Yes, surviving lockdown. Yeah. How about you, Shaun?
Yeah, I'm pretty much surviving it, really. But we've been really, really lucky with the weather, got to be honest.
Yep.
I've been so lucky with the weather and what have you. Yeah, so that's about it, really. And I've been trying to get into routine this week because I've put on so much weight. I'm just like, do you know what? It's crazy. And so I've been only this week because I've been terrified. First time I went outside the gate, and that was to go for a walk, and I left it really, really late at night. It was about 7:30. I thought, well, there are not going to be people about, but I was amazed how many people were actually about, walking dogs and things.
Yeah.
So I was like, but it wasn't like hugely busy, and I went to places that I used to go to when I was a kid, and we were just talking earlier, wasn't we? And I was just saying how much they've changed, But it was really interesting to see it all, and the weather's been perfect, and my mum's garden is looking peachy now because I spent like every day titivating the lawns, making them all look good. Yeah.
So Shaun, is this
love this weather? So it's not, it's sort of a mixed blessings, really.
So have you? Because for what you say, Shaun, it sounds as if you sort of regressed back to your teenage self because you left the island just before lockdown and you went and you moved back in with your mum. So...
Yes. Yeah. Basically, I came over and I've sort of stayed here till I don't know whenever the lockdown finishes. Because there's no point. I'm much better here because there's a garden for one thing.
Yep.
And I get fed incredibly well, and because there's no cinema or nothing like whereas before you had the cinema, I had the gym, I had the shops, I had Sharon, I had the quizzes, quiz evenings, nothing there really. So it was, to be honest, a bit of a no-brainer, because I got my old room that I had when I was a kid, and I found, how cool is this? I found things that I thought I'd lost over the years. And I found them. I had these press books, right, of spaghetti Western press books. And I thought from one of my time years and years ago, they had either been stolen or I'd lost them years and years and years ago. Anyway, I'm looking through some old stuff, and there in the bottom of the cupboard is these old press books. And I'm like, whoa, well, so that's what happened to them. So,
anything by Leone.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I found all sorts of stuff, records, old LPs with like Star Wars and all the music ones that I'd forgotten about. So it's been all right, to be fair.
Oh, okay, you need to send me a picture. You need to send me a picture of that kind of stuff. And Sharon,
okay.
How about you? Okay, we know that usually you're a gardener, but have you actually done anything to your own garden, or have you thought, forget that nonsense?
Yes, I've been doing my own garden. I've been starting all my veg off. So I've got a greenhouse full of seeds that are waiting to get big enough to go out, and doing the grass, weeding flower beds, planting flowers, because I've just been out there trying. But I think lockdown sort of suits me because even though I sort of miss seeing people, I'm sort of an introvert at heart, so I don't get too stressed if I don't see people, so I can cope with my phone calls and my being in touch with people. That suits me, and I like reading and I like doing stuff at home and pottering around, and there's always something to do. Our day has been quite well filled, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's just I'm here with my mum, with my mum company.
Yeah.
So actually,
the days shoot by.
Yeah, they do. You just they do tend to blow. We find it hard to track on what a Sunday is, but then we get up and then we've got a WhatsApp group with our church group, so our Sundays is as busy as if we went to church.
Well, I get up, have breakfast, I get up fairly late, have breakfast, watch a bit of the news, go out and sit in the garden, do a bit of sun, bit of work, bit of sun, bit of work. And then it's like today, I was nearly late. I forgot. Oh my goodness, we're doing the podcast tonight. And it was like 5:45 when I got in. So I've only just really got in.
Oh, good. Well, okay, cool. Good stuff. So what we're gonna do is, because obviously we haven't been recording for a couple of weeks. Essentially, I had superfan Nina get in touch with me and go, hang on a second, are you guys still doing the podcast? What's going on? And when she gets in touch with me to ask that kind of question, because as we know, most of the things we do on this show are just a response to things that superfan Nina tells us to do. So when she gets in touch and she says something like that, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, maybe we have been away for a while. But I don't know about you, but I've been having a bit of an existential crisis, because I'm like, well, our podcast is called Netflix versus Cinema. There is no cinema, therefore we don't have a show.
So you can't. Yeah, it's like, which one is the versus?
Yeah, it's like
Netflix versus itself.
It's like, just sit down and talk
It
about
eats itself.
Yeah, it's like, just sit down and talk about Netflix. No, I'm not doing that. And
So work that way.
Yeah, but what we found out, I think what we're essentially going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a celebration of cinema. So going on while we're in a lockdown, and even after the lockdown goes on, I think it's going to be a while before cinemas open up again. And I think it's going to be. I think we're in for a while. I'm thinking winter before cinemas open up again, and so what we're just going to do is do like a bit of a celebration of cinema. We're going to celebrate it because, as we said, one of the things I was thinking of is in this meantime, you would think, okay, we're all film buffs. Sharon, you said, like, you're a big geeky. I mean, I think we're quite frankly, let's be honest, we're all a big geeky. The level of which we love films, there's a bit of geek in all of us. And you would think, oh, cool, we're good, we're indoors. Now this is the time to catch up on all those films and everything. But the funny thing is, and this is what I talk about giving us philosophical questions about our relationship to cinema, is that neither of you have been watching much.
No, I've watched very little.
No.
I've watched 2 films in an entire lockdown.
Really?
So that's 2 films in like, what, 4 weeks?
I've only watched half of a series. Yeah, I've only watched half of a series. So that's normally would be like a normal week, would be like 2 films in a series or something. But I've watched, 2 films in their entirety and then part of a series. That's
and
it.
For me.
Yeah, for you, Shaun?
Yeah. I've seen, and I watched all of Picard. I've seen Picard.
Oh, the TV series, yeah.
The on TV series Picard. But I've been watching because I've joined a couple of like Facebook group, like Westerns.
Oh yeah.
And I've spent a lot of time. I joined Westerns Forever, Spaghetti Westerns, a Wild Bunch fan page, Strange Movies. So I've spent a lot of, basically what I've been doing is I've been down doing all this stuff. Well, because my mum likes like all the computer doing all that sort of stuff, and then she goes to bed and I generally catch her, watch a film or watch something. But I've been watching some old ones, and I'll tell you what I saw last night was on Talking Pictures. You know that program Talking Pictures? I think you put me onto it, Sharon.
Yeah.
The Spy Who Came In
we
From
watched
the
quite a few of
Cold.
those. Oh yeah, they have some good stuff.
What a terrific film that is.
Yeah.
That is absolutely brilliant. That's class. If you think that came out at the same time as the James Bond movies, but that's a proper spy film.
So
You've never seen it, I suppose.
Spy Who Came In From the Cold. Is that the Richard Burton one?
The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. Yeah, Richard Burton.
Yeah. I've heard.
And from watching that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't actually seen it.
And there's a few bits and bobs that I sort of. I've spent a bit of time on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of Chinese propaganda movies, which are quite interesting.
I was invited to, but I haven't actually got around to watching any yet. But
some of them are really. Yeah, some of them are really, really well. There are a lot of war films. There's war films, and me and my war films. But I can also, the joy is I can watch it on my computer.
Yep.
And sort of, so it doesn't really matter. I can't understand it if the TV's on, so I have the earphones in.
Yep.
But there was one I watched last night, which or sort of had on last night, but it was started off as a war film, and I thought, oh, this looks really, really good. But it was and then it went behind the scenes, and it was like, I'm assuming was a producer and a director having like a bit of a row, and then they went to make like this love film, and it was like a film of film about a filmmaker, really.
All right.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
It had like all the lighting and all the cameras and like obviously the continuity ladies and all that. I think it was called. What was it called? I think it was called Flying Tiger. I think.
Okay, but
But anyway,
I think I know that you're talking about the Facebook group that was started up by a friend of ours, Joe Briscoe, who has set up a group. It's called? Is it Mao's Propaganda Movies or something like that?
The red. So I'm in the
Mao's Red Book. Okay, let me find the group. Let me find the group if anybody wants to go have a look, and start have a look and start catching up on Shaun's recent viewing history, finding out what the because it's all from around the second. Is it like 1940s to the 1970s? I think the group is.
If you like.
It's called Mao's Little Red Films, Chinese Propaganda Movies, 1949 to 1979. So
I think this film, the film I watched last night, that wasn't one he recommended. I think I've recommended it to him, but it was it was a later film, obviously a modern film, but it was still about making propaganda movies. I think there wasn't any subtitles, so I just had to. But I'm cool with that. I don't need me subtitles.
Or you could just the language of cinema doesn't need words.
Yeah, and some of them are very the cinematography is absolutely astounding. Not the early ones, not so good. But for me, I like that because I like looking at the weapons, and I watched that Steel Soldier that he recommended.
Yep, that was
and the weapons in it are like they were total, like, you could see a real mishmash because it must have been pretty soon after the Communist Party had taken over, and there was British weapons and Chinese weapons, Japanese weapons. They had like every sort of different weapon you could think of, So they made this film with because you know me and my technical bits.
I know. So, I know you're always looking at the back going, hang on a second, that man has the wrong shoe buckle.
Exactly right.
All right.
Yeah.
So
how about you guys? What have you been up to? I'm hogging the whole thing. Come on.
Sharon, you were saying that you hadn't really watched much. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I like the immersive aspect of going to cinema, particularly because it is, you shut out the world and you're immersed in it. And at home, I don't find I have that same desire to be immersed or to be separated. So I find it hard to dedicate that much time to watching a whole film. And I discovered the thing called the Zooniverse, which I know I've warned you about, but since I've discovered the Zooniverse, I've just been immersed in that. That's been what's taking up my spare time, which is the Zooniverse is a website which is by Oxford University, I think, and it's about citizen science projects. So you can use your spare time to assist in citizen science projects by furthering research into a myriad of things. By just sort of often it's transcribing data, but it's also about looking at video footage and still photographs. But I like the transcribing, so I've been transcribing anti-slavery documents from the 1850s and 60s. You get a handwritten letter, and you basically transcribe it line by line, so you have to read old writing and stuff. And I've been transcribing the black Civil War soldiers, their army records from the 1860s. So to me, it's fascinating. It's history, it's living, but it's also doing something productive. Instead of just fiddling around playing games, I'm actually helping in some small way.
Yeah.
I love it. So I haven't been watching films. I've just been going into the Zooniverse and transcribing anything that takes my fancy. It could be bird watching records from the 1940s. It could be the letters written to Orson Welles after the broadcast of War of the Worlds. That was really fascinating. Some of the letters were corking. And I transcribed a few of those. They were brilliant. But again, it's a piece of history that you can be involved in. And by me transcribing that onto this website, it then becomes available for everyone to do research to be able to read those letters as well. So I've been loving that. So it means I haven't felt the need to think, what should I do? Because there's always something to do. I haven't had a spare 2 hours to watch a film.
All right, cool, good stuff. Okay, so this is how we've all been dealing with the closure of cinemas, and I've pretty much just sort of avoided everything to do with. So there's film podcasts I used to listen to. I've stopped looking at them. There's film reviews online. I've stopped looking at them. There's film websites. I've just stopped because I'm like, it's a bit like you know what it feels like. You know how? Okay, Shaun, you might get this. Sharon, I know that you've expressed how much like football is not your thing in the past. But you know how it is when you go to the off season of football, and on all the sports sites, because they talk about football most of the time, they try and build up all these things to make them sound like they're news when they're not news. They're like, oh my god, this person, this like Brazilian footballer was spotted saying a word in English. That means he must be coming to Liverpool.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
And at the moment, when I look at any sort of film publication or anything, I'm like, what do you have to talk about? You're not gonna. It's almost as if
we may never see these films for months or years, and then we may only see them at home. It's like, ugh.
It's weird. It's almost like I don't want to be taunted. I don't want to have that stuff looking at me. I don't want to have that thing look. And so I've just sort of kind of run away from it. Although one thing
it reminds you of what you're missing.
Exactly. It reminds you of what you're missing. It reminds you of what it is that you had. And I know that on this show, we always talk about Netflix versus cinema. Is cinema dying? All that sort of stuff. And what's the difference when, you have to go and you have to find a time to go to the cinema, and it's so inconvenient when you could just sit down and get it straight to your eyeball straight away. And if nothing else, this lockdown has shown me, oh my God, no, cinema actually definitely plays a part. Cinema has a part to play in the whole of this thing, because there is something about, and it's not tangible. Yeah. It's not tangible, but there's something about the event of going to the cinema, of getting up, going somewhere, of knowing, and I actually think a big part of it is that of knowing that you only have like 10 films or so to choose from, and you got to, and because I've sat down, I've looked at Netflix, I've recently gotten access to Disney Plus, Amazon, and you're just looking, there's just too much. It's just like all over you that there's sometimes I just look at it, no, I don't want this. I don't want this. This doesn't feel special. The fact that I can pause it doesn't feel like anything big. Yeah. Whereas when you actually get up and go to the cinema, it's made me go, you know what? I think whatever happens, cinema is going to hang around. Shaun, what was that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Tosin. I think I mean, and it's funny, you got all these streaming platforms and all things like that, and yet from the sound of it, from me and Sharon and maybe you're not using them to the full potential.
No.
Going to the cinema. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think, and I know that they've obviously, because there's the business side of it, and they've been trying to do things like they've been releasing. There's some films that pretty much every single film we spoke about in the final podcast we did, which is the last podcast before this one, which was the one we did just before the lockdown was announced. Yeah. All those films only had about a week in the cinema before they disappeared, and they've all shown up on Amazon saying, "Hey, watch this film," but they're asking you to pay about £15 to watch it, and I'm like, heck no.
Yeah. I have my limited card for a reason,
Yeah, exactly. I think the three of us are we're a bit spoiled and entitled now. We're like, what? No, I paid $17.99 for all the films I wanted to see every month. There is no way I'm paying $15.99 for one. It's like, what, you mean I pay $15.99 and I don't even get to own it?
I mean...
yeah, no, I've looked at some of those and I thought, I'll wait.
So what was that, Shaun?
I said I don't know when they're going to open again. Really, I can't see it being for a long time, which is a shame.
I can't see it being there for a long time. So
it'll be one of the last, I think, to open.
Yeah, I think so. I think big things, which makes me wonder about just going back to football for a quick second. It makes me wonder about the football season, which
I know.
I hope they find a way to finish, because it will be so cruel if Liverpool got denied being Premier League champions.
They're so close.
Yeah, it would be. You see, Sharon, you don't even care about football, and you know about this. So...
And I know that. I remember that little boy wrote a letter, didn't he, to the manager saying, "Please don't let them win." It's going, hey, no, we can't do that, but thank you for writing the letter.
Oh yes.
And so I was that little boy who's probably going, yes.
Cinema is going to be one of the last things to open up. I think, probably just before football stadiums, but they're going to have to figure that thing out. But so what we have said that we're going to do, and we're going to do this over the next couple of weeks, is that we're going to have a bit of a celebration of cinema, because in my head I've had this epiphany going, no, cinema, it doesn't matter if you get better content on Netflix, there's always going to be something about going to a cinema, sitting down, not having the choice to stop it, even if you hate what you're watching. I think there's something about that you just have to sit down and stick it out to the end. So
has there ever been any movies you've actually walked out on? I mean, I know Sharon did nearly on the last Rambo film. She got close to it, I think.
Vile film.
But have you ever walked out on a film? Or not? Have you guys ever walked out on a film?
I've never walked out on a film. I've never walked out on a film.
No, I never have either.
Because I'm thinking, I paid my money, finish.
Yeah, and I always hope it'll get better. Even if I hate the content, I always think, stick it out, because you never know, it might be redeemed. I've been in the cinema when I've had friends walk out and I've been left there, but I've never personally walked out.
The only film that I almost walked out on was Eyes Wide Shut. And
right, okay.
Because at that time, I hadn't seen any Kubrick film, and everybody had always been yelling and banging on about what a genius Kubrick was. And so Eyes Wide Shut is really... I mean, I saw bits of Spartacus when I was a kid, but Eyes Wide Shut is really the first Kubrick film I saw all the way through when I was aware of what it was I was watching. And when it got to the scene, and everybody who's seen Eyes Wide Shut knows what I'm talking about with the scene, it got to that and I was like, what the heck's going on? I don't get what is going on. I haven't been engaged in this thing so far. The only thing that kept me in the cinema was morbid curiosity, because I just want to see how the hell this thing is going to end. and then when the film ended, I was like, no, I really didn't get that. I really didn't get that. I was like, I don't think that is everybody keeps telling me Kubrick is this genius. I don't think that is a fitting swan song for somebody who is supposed to be this massive genius. And I think in the years since then, the film, I've never watched the film all the way through again, and it's been reevaluated. And I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, that's the only film I've almost walked out on. But my principles kept me in the seats.
I've walked out on one, which was the Keith Lemon movie.
Oh God!
Because, right, okay, that's I just like I watched the first few of them, and I'm like, this is no good. So that's the only one. The only other time, but that wasn't my choice. That was, I went to watch the Thin Red Line.
Oh yeah.
I went to watch the Thin Red Line, and there's a scene in it where a bird falls out of a tree, and it was all pretty. And I was with a girl, and she just said, "I'm not watching this," and she got up and went, and I was sat there, and I'm thinking, do I chase after her, or do I just stay and watch the film? Do I chase after her and say what's her? So yeah. So
okay, just imagine.
I'm not gonna tell you what I did. I'm gonna keep you inside.
You stayed.
I can just imagine Shaun sitting down there watching it, going, you know what? This is a good film. I'm enjoying this film. I don't think that... I had absolutely... It's like... Okay, imagine Shaun
it's nice fun.
I'm enjoying this film, and I had no indication that was going anywhere. So, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the film.
Yeah, I mean, it was one bit. She didn't like it. Have you seen the Thin Red Line?
No, I haven't seen the Thin Red Line. I still haven't seen it.
Have you seen it, Sharon?
Yeah, I've seen it.
There's a little bit in a flashback where there's a couple of... I think they must have been like things, but there's like a little baby bird in a tree that falls down, and she didn't like that. She took umbrage to that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So there's a lot of scenes of nature in it, but it's all about the whole...
That was, she just got up and said, I'm not watching this. Yeah, symbolism, exactly right. So,
yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do for the next couple of weeks on the podcast with no cinema around is we're going to have a little bit of a celebration of cinema. And this is going to take a couple of things. Like we're going to be speaking to some people who listen to the show, some people who haven't, over the next couple of weeks. I've already interviewed London correspondent Holly to ask her about this. And the 3 questions, and this is an update from the first ever podcast that the 3 of us did. So when we had a podcast called They Don't Make Them Like They Used To, go find it. It is still up online. You can still search for They Don't Make Them Like They Used To on all good podcast providers, and you will find our faces up there. And we were in a hospital, and it was on hospital radio, and we would ask people, tell us the story of the first film you ever saw in the cinema. Like the first time you ever went to the cinema, you ever locked eyes on it. And we had some great stories. There were some people who were talking about Gulliver's Travels. Somebody was talking about The Wizard of Oz and all that. So we're going to adapt that. And we're going to talk about celebration of cinema I think there's 4 main questions. The first question is, tell us the story of the first time you ever went to the pictures, the first time you ever went to the cinema. What did you see? What was it all about? Second thing is, what film was the last film you saw before the lockdown happened? What was the last film you managed to see? Which I know we've spoken about a little bit on the podcast in the last episode. What was the last film you managed to catch at the cinema before the lockdown happened? Why do you think you love the cinema so much? Why do you want to go to it all the time? And the fourth one is, what are you most looking forward to seeing when the cinemas reopen? So, due to time, because I know that we can go on and we can bang on and on and on, I think with this one, we're going to focus on first film you ever saw in the cinema for all of us. So, Sharon, you want to tell us, what was the first film you ever saw in the cinema?
First film I saw at the cinema was in 1978, I think. It wasn't the first showing of it. It was a re-showing of Star Wars, the first Star Wars film. That was the first film I saw at the cinema. I went to see it with my 2 older brothers and some children from our road. In those days, it was acceptable for a whole group of like 8, 9, 10-year-olds to go to the cinema on their own. I mean, this was the 1970s.
Yeah.
So I remember, there was a group of us on my road, basically 3 of us, brother and sister from down the road, probably other children as well. We all piled in to the cinema in Newport, it was called Studio One, and we sat and watched Star Wars, the first Star Wars film. Later subtitled A New Hope, but when I saw it, it was just Star Wars. So I saw that. Yeah, I remember some parts of it very vividly.
Oh, okay. Tell us what do you remember most vividly about going to see that?
I remember the excitement of going to the cinema on our own, with just my brothers and not with an adult. And then after that, we went a lot. We do a lot as children, but that was when we went as a group of children together. I remember me and my friend. We found it quite exciting to go into the ladies' toilet. I don't know why, but I remember going into the ladies' loo halfway through the film, and then I remember sort of certain scenes from the film. I remember especially the scenes where you've got Han Solo and Chewbacca and Luke Skywalker in the back in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Yeah. That's the bits I remember the most, actually. Those scenes where they're framed by the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon when they're sat there, very much like our screens are now. How you're focused on the faces. I remember those. Yeah, so I do remember that was the first film I saw at the cinema, and I remember loving it, even though I was a fidgety child. I was only sort of 7 or 8, but I do remember enjoying it in a way that children can. You think they're not paying attention and they're fidgety or they're distracted by other things, but when you ask them afterwards, they've probably taken in much more than you think, and they enjoyed it, and for them it was a great experience. And I remember, even though I was fidgety, I was up and down, and we'd gone out and got sweets, and we came in and had a drink, and we were probably the most annoying children in the whole cinema, but I do remember actually really enjoying the whole experience.
Oh, okay, awesome. Do you think that's where your love affair with cinema started, or were you already gone by that time?
No, I think it probably did. I don't remember the cinema before that, but I remember films after that. I remember going to see The Black Hole in like 1980.
Vincent and Maximilian, the big nasty robot.
Yeah, the big robots. And I remember lots of films from that end of the sort of 70s, early 80s that I went as a child to. Yeah, so I think it did start there. And yeah, it's always been a feature of my life, yes, for the last 40 years.
Oh, wow. Cool. Awesome. I love that. Shaun, what was yours? What was your story of the first time you went to the cinema?
Well, this is going back. It could be one or two. I remember, and I think the first one I remember is the Odeon in Lansdowne, and I went to see, it was Goldfinger. It must have been around about 1965, so I'd have been 5-6 years old. Yeah. But I don't remember Goldfinger, but there was a film on the sort of second film. It was called The Legend of Lobo. And there's the bit Lobo's mother gets shot, and I burst out into screams of tears and was really inconsolable. And I think my dad had to take me out because And it was a talking point like Christmas. Oh, do you remember that time? I think it was me, my uncle, my cousin Glenn, and you went, "Geez, they've shot her!" And like I burst inconsolable and cried, so they had to take me out because. But so it was called The Legend of Lobo, and everybody talked about that. I reckon I must have been 5 because when was golfing? When was Thunderball? 65, 66, something like that.
Dr. No was 62. Dr. No was 62. Yeah. Russia Love was 64. It was pretty much every 2 years. So 66 would have been Goldfinger. So Thunderball would have been about 68. 67. Yeah, 67, 68.
So, okay, so that would have been, I'd have been about 7 years old. So obviously before that, the film that I would have seen that made me love cinema was, we were in holiday in Padstow in Cornwall, and it was rainy one day. We went to see a Shaun Heston film called The Warlord. I think, do you remember that? I think we did that on, they don't make them like they used to. Yeah. And
even if we didn't do it, I remember you talking about this film always. You always talk about Charlton Heston and The Warlord.
So that's my earliest remember of just thinking, wow, what a terrific thing this is. And so, The Warlord, Charlton Heston. I remember the fight. It was just, lush, vibrant, loads of action. Yeah. And I remember sitting there watching it. And I think I even broke my tooth on a sugar almond or a pebble thing, that those sweet pebbles. So that's what I remember. The Warlord. I still like it now, and yet I've watched it a couple of times, and you can see the back screen and everything else, and it is a little bit dated, but I still love it.
Like most things around that time.
Yeah. We watched Cartoon the other night. I think that was on one of these things with Charlton Heston, and that brought back those memories of going to see these old films at the cinema.
Yeah, because they were big. The cinemas were, you had a balcony, and you had the stalls, and they were really big, and they were plush, and they were, like the cinemas at that time, they were obviously still had the remnants of cinema from its heyday with all the Art Deco stuff.
All round, didn't you?
Yeah, and you used to have continuous performances as well. So I remember when I was a kid at school in Bournemouth, you could go into the cinema and stay there all day, and they never kicked you out. So because they just used to keep showing continuous performances. And I remember,
and if you came halfway through one film, you could stay and watch it again.
Yeah, that's it. So that was great. That I remember I sat through 3 showings of Zulu one half term in the school holidays. So I went and watched like the matinee, the early evening, and the evening one, and I watched it 3 times running. But then that was in big 70mm, CinemaScope, super fabulous. And Lawrence of Arabia, I remember. But that's when cinema was plush and lovely.
Well, it was essentially like the theater. Going to the cinema was going to the theater.
That's it. It was a theater, yeah.
Yeah, before.
And you still had an intermission. Funnily enough, I was listening on the radio and they were talking. I think there's one cinema somewhere, and it was where they still have the organ at half time, and they don't start the second half until everybody's bought an ice cream, and they still have the lady with the tray with the ice creams. Yeah.
Well, so you have to.
I think it's up in Yorkshire.
So they say you have to go there. You have to pay for the cinema ticket, and then you have to buy an ice cream.
You have to buy an ice cream, yeah.
If not, we're not signing the film until you buy an ice cream.
Because that's what it used to be, wasn't it? It was like you'd have the tray, the usher with and always have like a vanilla ice cream, which was so overpriced.
Okay. Oh, by the way, nice. we only have 40 minutes on the Zoom call, so if it stops, just click the link and it will take us back in.
Okay.
All right. So okay. But that's in case it stops. It might give us another. They've been doing this thing recently where they give you more time. All right. Cool.
I had a little thing that came up on my screen saying you've got more time.
Oh, okay, cool. I've totally missed it. I think I heard something in my ears, but anyway, thank you, Zoom. Thank you. This podcast is not sponsored by Zoom, but it's. Okay. So with me, it's a bit different because I didn't get to the cinema until I was 16. Didn't get to actually walk through the front doors of a cinema until I was 16. And this is because growing up in Nigeria in the 1980s, the cinema scene was pretty much dead. We had other problems. So we had these older buildings, and I remember there was one we used to drive past all the time called Casino Cinema. And this was it was when you came to, because we used to live on a place called the Island, Lagos Island, and we went to school on Lagos mainland. And we would drive down off the 3rd mainland bridge, drive along this road. It's like leaving Ebute Metta, going towards Yaba. And there would always be this big, massive building, which was called Casino Cinema, and it was built in this sort of like almost Roman Colosseum type architecture that was there. In fact, if anybody is listening to this in Nigeria, if you can get me a picture of Casino Cinema, I would love it. I don't know if the building is still there. And
it isn't Tosin. Sorry to butt in there. I know I do, but isn't Nigeria like the third most prolific producer of movies?
Nollywood.
I beg your pardon. We are the first.
Oh, first then. No, sorry, I do beg your pardon. What, even more? Oh, wow, the Bollywood.
Yes, we are more prolific. We are Nollywood, and we are more prolific than Bollywood. It's like,
oh wow!
It doesn't mean that the films are good, but there are more of them. No,
sorry to interrupt you.
No, but honestly, there are some people who are doing some good things. Like there's a company called Ink Blot Productions that I think is really raising the bar of what a Nigerian film should be. And I love this. They're the kind of people who, in my dream of making a film, I would love to work with these guys because they really raise the bars to what it's supposed to be. But technically speaking, if you wanted to go to your traditional Nollywood movie, if you wanted to go to, there's a channel on Sky called Nollywood TV. And if you go there, there's loads of the films. It doesn't mean they're good. What was I saying? So we used to go past Casino, but all these films, I mean, even in the 80s, Nollywood wasn't really even a thing in the 80s. So all the things I watched, like the first James Bond film I saw, For Your Eyes Only, that was on TV. The first Bruce Lee movie I watched, which I think was I saw snippets of different Bruce Lee movies, which I always got jumbled in my head and made into one film. And because Bruce Lee was a genre on his own in Nigeria, quite frankly. Okay, so
he's back.
So we're on a Zoom call, and Shaun, in his ADHD way, every now and then keeps showing us posters that he's found. So far we've seen A Fistful of Dollars. I think I saw For a Few Dollars More. You didn't have The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, did you? But he's just showed us a Bruce Lee. Oh, there it is. Okay. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Okay, Shaun, you need to take pictures of this and send them to me. They'll go up on our Twitter account of the old school posters that Shaun has in his childhood bedroom. So
yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah. So that was the thing. I already had Lepke. What's that? Lepke?
Sorry, Lepke. That's a Tony Curtis film about Louis Lepke, who was gangster of Murder Incorporated. He used to sort of do all Capone's hitmen for him and stuff.
Okay.
All right, cool. So
that one?
So my love affair with cinema had started before that. And the weird thing is, you would watch films. I would watch films on TV in Nigeria that would have people going to the cinema and sitting in this darkened room and everything and I'll be like, oh wow, that looks cool. So it's kind of weird that I got introduced to the idea of a cinema through a film on a TV, but never mind. So it wasn't until I got over to the UK, where obviously you had work in cinemas. I was on half term with my friend Sharon up in North London near Finchley, and we went to the Odeon Swiss Cottage. And I actually got to walk through the doors of a cinema and see my first actual movie in a cinema,
wow.
It is now a forgotten movie starring Dennis Quaid and Sean Connery. Yeah, I know.
It's not Dragonheart.
It is Dragonheart. So Dragonheart was the first one I ever saw in the cinema. Dennis Quaid playing a kind of English knight and Sean Connery playing a dragon. What more could you want? What more could you want? And I know that people talk about the film.
I saw that at the cinema.
So what was that?
I saw that at the cinema too.
Yeah. That was the first one I saw it. It's kind of one of those things where you're just kind of like, yes, this is everything I thought it would be. It's awesome. that was back in the day when I bought into the whole thing, bought myself some overpriced popcorn, went in there, munched all the way, finished all the popcorn by the time the film started probably. That was before I realized popcorn and my teeth do not go together because kernels always get stuck. But
they always get stuck.
Yeah, I hate those things. And
a little bit of popcorn goes a long way.
Yeah, I can't stand popcorn anymore. But yeah, but I did that first film I saw, Dragonheart, and I was like, yep. This is all I thought it would be. I shall be doing this now. I shall be doing this more and more often. And because then I was in a school in Somerset, I was in a boarding school in Somerset with nothing to spend money on. So every time there was a school outing, I'll be like, where's the nearest cinema? Go watch something. But yeah, but that's it. First film I ever saw in the cinema, and yeah, it lived up to everything. It lived up to everything that I thought it would be, and it is an addiction that I still have all the way till this day. So, all right, cool. So that's the question we're going to say. Shaun, you probably have something else to say. You want to say anything else?
No, I'm all right at the moment. I've just put my phone on charge because I see it's like it doesn't have to take some zapping, doesn't it? doing this.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Well,
So I just put it on charge. So.
Which explains the interesting view I'm seeing on Zoom right now, which is up Shaun's nose.
Yes. Oh, is it that bad? All right, I'll try and rest it like that then. So yeah, I didn't realise it was quite that bad. But,
No, it isn't
yeah.
that. It isn't that bad. To be honest with you, it isn't that bad. You just got a bit of a roof halo. So okay, yeah. So no, it really isn't that bad. So that is. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I know with you guys, you were talking about Netflix at the moment and how you're not really watching much. I think I have about 3 or 4 things on the go that I've started watching, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get back to this later. Especially because I've been exploring Disney Plus. I've been exploring Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, I bet that's good.
It's good, and there's some good stuff on Disney Plus, but its layout is a bit of a mess. I mean, because you look at it and you might not you don't realize how much is on there. You know, there's a lot of stuff on there, but they have a headline that says like, you know, Disney animated movies, and that is for me is one of the big draws. You want to go in there and you want to see all the animated movies all the way back to, you know, when Walt Disney was still alive, and they've got Steamboat Willie on there and all that. But I'm talking about the full ones, like all the way from Snow White. I want to go back and I want to go through in order. Snow White, then this, and see all the different things that they did to actually make up to make this back catalog. But even when you go to and click on animated movies, it makes it look as if they only have 10 of them on there. Then it's not until you go in and put a search for the particular film that you're looking for that you say, oh, they've got The Rescuers, they've got The Fox and the Hound, they've what? But there isn't like one place where you can go to and you can say, boom, all of the Disney animated classics, I want to see them all now. There isn't a place where you can...
Do you think they'll have Song of the South or not?
No.
That's not on there. No.
I'm pretty sure they're going to stay well away from Song of the South.
I just wondered because I mean I know it has a bad.
I'm actually going to put a search in right now as we're speaking and find out if Disney Plus have gone and put Song of the South on there. To be quite frank with you, I want to see it. I actually want to see Song of the South.
From my childhood. I mean, in the 70s, we were still allowed to watch it. But I remember, is it Uncle Remus who used to sing Zippity Doo Dah?
Yep.
Yes.
I had that on a single. I had a little single of that we used to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a lot of Uncle Remus songs on little mini. I don't know if they're on little mini 78s, but we had some records of Uncle Remus that we used to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I've never seen it. I've only ever heard things. I've only ever heard things about it by reputation. So I haven't been able to make up my own decision on it or what it was about. It's all what other people say. And I've decided a while back that I'm not just going to go on what other people say. I actually want to see it and say, do I think it's racist? Not that somebody else has told me that it's mega, mega racist. I want to watch it and see if I think it's racist. But funnily enough, no, Song of the South is not on Disney Plus.
Oh, wow. Wow. What about that?
Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? So, yeah, but so there are some things, there are some problems with it because it's not easy to find what you want. It's easier for them to just throw things in front of you and say, this is what I want you to watch. And I'm like, no, I want to go in there and I want to watch through all the Disney animated classics in chronological order. And you're not making it easy for me. So I think it's a little bit of a mess. But The Mandalorian I haven't even bothered with. But I'll tell you what I have been watching. I've been watching a lot of Studio Ghibli. So, yeah, because Studio Ghibli, they have that on Netflix now, and they have a lot of the back catalogs on Netflix, and I've been watching through all of those, and because everybody has been absolutely raving about Studio Ghibli for years. The first time I heard about it was when I think a Pixar movie, it might have been Toy Story or Toy Story 2, lost out to Studio Ghibli at the Oscars in, I think, 1996 or something like that. And everybody was like, oh my God, Spirited Away, great film, all this Japanese. And I was like, oh, what is this hand-drawn thing that was better than computer animation? So I've waited years, literally almost decades to watch this film. And finally saw it on Netflix the other day. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. So I've seen 5 Studio Ghibli movies so far, and in the order of preference of what I would say, number 1 is Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is my favorite so far. followed by My Neighbor Totoro. Then let's see, Ponyo, Arrietty, and then Spirited Away is my least favorite that I've seen so far.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Well, it's Grave of the Fireflies one.
Grave of the Fireflies is Studio Ghibli, yes.
Yeah,
That's set in
because
that.
apparently that's supposed to be, not that I've seen it, but apparently that's supposed to be quite a harrowing movie.
I keep hearing that. Everybody I know says it's harrowing, and that's one of the reasons why I think I haven't sorted out to watch it yet. Because number one, everybody says it's harrowing. Number two, it's Japanese, so if it's going to be harrowing and Japanese, it's going to be mega harrowing.
Yeah, they don't do things by half. The Japanese.
They do not. No, they don't. They don't do. They know how to make a horror movie. They know how to get a point across. And I feel like it's just. I feel like it's a lot more visceral than Hollywood.
Yeah.
So to say. Let's see. Grave of the Fireflies. Is it on the Grave of the Fire? Oh, I don't think that's actually on Netflix. So they have a lot of other things, but they don't have that. All right, cool. Anyway, I think we might finish.
Okay.
We might stop there. I think we've done the hour. I'm going to let you go have your government sanctioned walk, Shaun.
Cool.
Gonna let you have
As I say, it's only been. I mean, I didn't step outside the gate for. It's only this week. This week is the only time that when I went for a walk, and I just thought, well, I need to get out, otherwise I'm just going to be one of those people that won't do nothing. You know, I mean, I haven't been to the shops,
Yeah,
because all the stuff's been delivered and stuff, so I haven't needed to go to the shop. So I just thought, I'm going to go, and if I go late at night, there's not going to be so many people about.
Yeah.
So, but there's still few people walking their dogs and things.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's really difficult. I mean, I always say hello because I feel so. It's such a horrible thing, Toes, where you go like, oh, because I always apologise and say I'm really sorry. I'll be glad, because I like walk out in the middle of the road and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To avoid people. So
yeah,
they go,
I know what you
horrid.
mean. Yeah, it's kind of like you see somebody coming towards you on your same side, and you just cross the road. But the thing is that it's becoming the new normal, where people understand it. People don't think you mean anything by it. They just understand. Yeah, I would have done the same thing if you hadn't crossed. I would have crossed. So it's like, yeah, but it's a crazy world we live in. That maybe hopefully at some point we will get to watch films in a cinema with.
Okay.
So till next week, where we will be talking about. What do you reckon? See, we've already spoken about the last films. We can talk about the last film we saw in the cinema again.
Okay.
And then think about, like, what film are you looking to see when we come back in a couple of weeks' time?
Okay.
Until then, Sharon,
Sounds good.
enjoy the Zooniverse.
Zooniverse.
Is there any way that we can see your hard work on Zooniverse?
I don't think so. No, you can join the Zooniverse, and I think, I don't know. Oh, there is a one, actually. I was part of a thing called Beat the Bug, which is a study into tuberculosis and the effectiveness of antibiotics on tuberculosis. And you have to classify these cells. And they hit 1 million classifications in a week.
Oh, wow.
On this one particular citizen science project. And every person who participated in it has their name written on this giant poster, and if you get it in a really high resolution thingy and zoom in really close, you can actually read your name, and my name will be on there because I've done a few hundred Beat the Bug classifications.
Send a link.
Part of my war against TB.
Send a link. I'd love to see that. And so that's a goodbye from Sharon, a goodbye from Shaun.
Goodbye now. Goodbye. Have a good time. I'll see you later.
Will do. And it's a goodbye from me. We will see you next week, where we'll come back and continue our celebration of cinema until it comes back. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.